Okay, so the next stitch I'm going to show you is called the Lazy Daisy stitch. You thread your needle the same way, and knot it the same way. This is the simple overhand knot. And this is often a stitch that's used to make flowers. So I used it in my pillow to make leaves. So you come up through your fabric, then you go back down through your fabric right next to that spot, and you come up again the length you want your stitch to be. Now notice I have my ribbon pulled off to the side and it's looping, making a big loop around the needle, because I'm going to come up with the needle inside that loop. Sorry about that. So there's the loop, and there's my end. And again, like I said before, with silk ribbon embroidery, don't pull too tight. Leave it nice and light and loose. And then you just go back down, go right next to where you came up. Like that. Is good. And you can kind of fiddle with it and adjust it. So I use that to make leaves. I wish I had a slightly larger, like wider ribbon for my leaves. They would have looked a bit more realistic, but that was what I had. So again, go down right next to where you come up, have your ribbon or your thread, your embroidery floss, in a loop, and come up the length you want your stitch to be. Sorry about that. And then pull it till it's right at that point, and go back down to secure. That's the Lazy Daisy stitch. Next is the running stitch, which is nothing to it. Now in the directions for the pillow I tell you to draw an S scroll. We can all draw an S and just make it kind of fancy on the ends. Do that. I might make it a little flatter, like that, because let me start over. Make one, doesn't curve out so much. There we go. And then I added another little loop, something like that. You can draw it on paper a few times before you actually do it. The running stitch is usually done with embroidery floss. In my pillow I use 3 strands. So you come up where you want to start. Running stitch, or back stitch actually is what this is called. And it's pretty basic. You just take small stitches along the line that you've drawn. So wherever you last came up is where you go down, and then you go up a little ways away. And just keep going down in the hole from the last place. Now the tighter your curve, you notice I have to start making the stitches smaller here to go around that curve. And I didn't do a very good job there because I can't see. But that's a running stitch. And last but not least, the one you've all been waiting for, the Spiderweb Rose. Now why is it called a Spiderweb Rose? Well, believe it or not, because you make it pretty much the same way a spider makes a web. The first thing we do is make spokes. Let me make that a little smaller. Make them about, for this pillow, about a 1/2 inch long. And make 5 coming from a central point. You notice this is roughly where I have it on my pillow. So I usually do 3 like this, split the difference. Try to make all the legs about the same length. Don't have them wildly different, or it won't work so well. If you have a hard time judging that, you can find something small and circular and draw a small circle, and then have the beginning and the middle of the circle and the spokes come out to the edge. So this is how we start our Spiderweb Rose. Just like a spider starts a web by drawing these lines. And then I'm just going to go on the back and knot this thread. And I hid my scissors. Let's cut that, get it out of the way. We're done with it. Next, I have some of the wide taupe ribbon. This is the same ribbon I used to make the flowers, the roses that are on the pillow. And I've knotted it and threaded it the same way I showed you. So come up right in the center of your spokes. And now here's the fun part. Pick one of the spokes and go under it. Go over the next one and then under. Like everything, I hate when it does that. With silk ribbon embroidery, keep your stitches loose and light. So we've gone under, so over, under, over, under, and you just go round and round. Oh, there we go. Now if your rose isn't fluffy enough for you, you can kind of twirl your needle like this and just make a few twists in it, and that will make the ribbon fluff out when you pull up the stitch. So let's see, that's an over, under, over, under. It's not very long that you can do two at a time. Once you get just a few stitches out, you have to do just one at a time. And you can kind of shape them. Oops, sorry about that. My camera cut out on me. Anyways, I've gone around a few more times, and you can see I've mostly covered up those little spokes of thread. But you do want to use matching thread when you do that. I just wanted you to be able to see what I was doing. And you can see you've got this pretty little rose. So you can keep going until those are covered up. And you can keep going more, and what will happen, it'll push these up, and you'll get a lot more height. And then you can just shape it and fluff it as you want. It's pretty nice as it is. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, learned a few things, and I hope you'll give my pillow a try. Here's another look at it. So you can see all the techniques that I showed you, the ruched flower with the colonial knots, nice and loose and light in the middle, and a few sprinkled around it. The Lazy Daisy stitch leaves here, and also with the roses, the Spiderweb Rose, the back stitch, the colonial knots out of embroidery floss. So I hope you enjoy this. You can find all the directions at keepsakecrafts.net. Have a great day. Thank you for watching.